Hey, good morning. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Paul Taylor. I own and operate TCI Development. We're a building contracting company located in Southern California. If you've been following along, we are out here where we're going to be building this large Spanish custom estate. Okay, this is in the La Cresta area of La Cresta, California. And we're pouring this foundation this morning. So we got here bright and early before the sun even came up. And we've got about, we have over 300 yards going into this foundation. So we're going to get building on this. We have lumber coming out on the 12th. We're going to start framing some walls. Hopefully you guys have been following along on our projects. I don't film much for YouTube, but I'm going to start to film more. I'm going to try to post at least 2 videos a week. But if you haven't done so already, go over and follow us on our Instagram page at TCI Development. And now let's go check out what's happening on this project. Okay, you can see our trucks have been showing up. I think we've had 7 or 8 trucks already. We have our boom truck here. We always use a boom because super efficient, right? The last thing you want to happen is for that boom to get a kink in it, because that's how people die. When those boom trucks get a kink in them, people go flying. But that's why you have to maintain positive control over everything, right? My boom operator has a remote control. He's standing right over here. He's controlling it while he's keeping an eye on all the guys as the concrete's coming out of the hose. But what we do first is we go around, we pour all the footings. Okay, we pour all the footings first around the exterior and the interior. That way these guys can start finishing around some of these bolts and these pier footings. I'll show you right here. You can see right here, they've been finishing around these bolts, and then they can strip the little plastic holders off the bolts. These things right here. This is such an awesome invention. They came out with these a while ago, but these things nail onto here, right? And you can set your, they make them for different sizes, and it sets it to elevation. You can screw them up and screw them down. That way that bolt goes through the bottom plate of your framing. But yeah, really cool. And then we use these braces right here to make sure all of our forms stay nice and true. We don't want our forms leaning or blowing out. This concrete's quite heavy. But you can see what we do. We go around and we pour to the bottom of the form. We pour all the footings, right, around all my electrical conduit and everything over there. You see I have that template. I pointed it out in another video. But yeah, we pour all the footings first, right? And then on the interior wall and everywhere. Then we come back and we will pour this foundation. But yeah, that's how it's done. Go over here and I'll show you guys a couple more things. We don't care if the concrete spills out underneath the footing, if these footings are large like that. But where I have my template for my conduits, you can see I put this foam. I get this foam from Home Cheapo. It's only a couple dollars. I run it down there and I run my conduits through that foam because I don't want concrete getting around the end of my conduits. You can see how I have the end taped off. You don't want concrete getting around there because you have to hook stuff onto there later, right? I use this cheap little tub. I've covered this all on the Instagram page at TCI Development. I've covered it here on YouTube, but I put this cheap little $4 tub over the end of my conduits. I put sand down here because I have utility trench I have to dig here later. But yeah, this template works perfect for hanging this 400 amp panel. Okay, see the guys are going through here, making sure that all the rebar is elevated, getting concrete underneath it. I got here early this morning. Like I said, I've mentioned many times on my Instagram page, on my YouTube channel. People ask me what's my secret to success in building. It's always been the same, right? There's a lot of ingredients that go into that recipe, but the 4 main things are the 4 C's that I call it, right? Commitment, communication, collaboration, and coordination. That's exactly what I did when I got here this morning. If you've ever watched any of my videos, you're familiar with Jose, okay? Jose's the foreman for the foundation. And him and I got here this morning. We communicated and collaborated, right? And coordinated and went over the fine details of things and looked over everything, looked over the height of the forms. We have our lasers out, even though I've checked this every day for the last 3 days, right? You never know. Someone could come up here in the middle of the night and mess around with stuff. So when this foundation goes down, your foundation is the start of everything in your house. If your foundation's out of whack, the framing's out of whack, the drywall's out of whack, everything after that's out of whack, and we don't want anything out of whack. Okay, so double, triple, quadruple check. I don't care how many times you check. right? You're gonna run things your way. I'm just telling you how I do it. Not telling anybody else how to do anything, just sharing. But yeah, see, we have all of our pier columns out here now, you know, checking everything with our strings, making sure, you know, see what he's doing. That string represents an interior framed wall. He's making sure that the anchor bolts are in that framed wall and not outside the framed wall. So that's what he's doing right here. Okay, he ran a string across there. Like I said, that string represents the framed wall. You don't want those bolts out in the middle of the bedroom. So another important thing to check, right? Gonna check them everywhere. See how we have a wall, because there's the living room over there. Right here's the kitchen area. We have stairs going here. That's a wall for the stairs. You got to make sure all those anchor bolts are in the right location. We ran strings a while back, but when you're pouring these footings, you know, they get bumped around and moved around. You want to make sure they are where they're supposed to be. See, here's these little plastic holders. What a great invention. See, now 45 years in this industry, why didn't I come up with that? You know, way back in the 80s, 90s, I was just using like little 1x4s and running my bolts through that. So yeah, it just goes to show I'm not smart. So anyway, here's our recessed showers. I've showed you how we form those up, right? Our exterior framed walls right here. We will pour concrete flush to the top on the outside of that form, and then when we pour the floor of this shower, it will be 3.5 inches down. Okay, and there's our shower drain box, right? But these are walk-in showers, right? There will be no shower dam. So you recess those, and that's how you do it. You just form it up nice and square, form it up level, and then pour concrete to the bottom on the inside. Piece of cake. You can do it. But yeah, looking good out here. I'll show you some more important details. When I said this morning I was collaborating with my foreman, the foreman for the foundation. Some important details over here. If you guys have followed my channel at all for any length of time, or you follow my Instagram page, you know, I'm still on some sort of frozen restriction on Instagram because they got mad at me for saying something about Joe Biden, whatever. So my account's been frozen for 13 weeks now. Anyway, this right here is a recess. Here's the living room, fireplace. This is a recess because we have a multi-slide door that opens both directions, okay? And where you see this 1x8 right here, that's going to be a framed wall there. That's a pocket, just like a pocket door. Those multi-slide doors will slide together inside this pocket. It's imperative that you set those nice and level, okay? You see how we have stakes out here, and we ran these 2x4s across? The concrete will get poured to the top of the foundation, to the top of these forms right here, but the concrete will go under those forms right there and be 3/4 recessed, because we have a track that goes in there. Now, here's the important part about these recesses. First of all, you need to get with your client, if you're the builder, and ask them what flooring are they putting down, because you're going to need to know the thickness of that flooring, right? The track for these multi-slides is 1 3/16 inches to the top. If you want your flooring to come out 3/16 of an inch down from the top of that track. So the only part sticking up on that track is the little shiny part that the wheels roll on, right? You want that flooring to be 3/16 down on that track. So you need to know these dimensions. Okay, I bring this up all the time. I get people that even call me, other contractors, say, hey, I kind of screwed up on this recess. You know, I go over there and I help them out, but you don't want to be jackhammering and saw cutting concrete, and you also don't want to be floating concrete because you went too deep. I calculated it. I collaborated, coordinated, communicated with the owner, checked with them in advance, had them pick their flooring. I know what it is. It's wood flooring. I know the thickness of it. It's 0.55 inches. Then I took those calculations and I came up with what I need here, right? That's what you do. You got to know those dimensions. Super important. I'm just trying to help you in the long run, because if you're going to get into doing these multi-slides, like I said, I use Sierra Pacific products because, in my opinion, they're the best in the industry. You know, people might want to argue that. It's like the Ford Chevy thing or the Pepsi Coke thing. In my opinion, for my company, I use Sierra Pacific. So there, you use whoever you use. Okay, these footings out here, I've covered this. These are called grade beams, all right? This is a big porch out here, this area. And you see right here, we ran a drain out from the house over here because there's a sink going out here on this porch area, right? This is all covered patio. This gets concrete. We have these pier columns. You see these massive hold downs right here. These are 1.1 inch, huge hold downs. You see them right here? So we have a big Simpson wall going right there. I'll cover that in framing. But like I said, we do have a drain coming out here. But see, you see how good my plumber Matt is? He ran that plumbing before these forms were set, and it's right where it needs to go. So Matt's been doing plumbing for over 50 years. He's been doing my plumbing for 30 years plus, and he's really good at what he does, right? And this is what makes you successful, right? Another thing, I talked about the 4 C's. For me, like I said, there's a lot of ingredients that go into my recipe of success in building, right? We get a lot of projects. If you follow along, you're going to see all the work that we get. We build some of the largest homes in Southern California, right? Because we have the right people. We do it right, and you know, that's another part of the recipe. But anyway, this is a grade beam footing right here. Something happened to my camera. Anyway, this is a grade beam footing right here. This has to all tie together. You see we have the massive hold downs in here because there's big columns going out here on this porch. Like I said, there's the multi-slide. You come out onto the porch, big columns out here and arches and everything. This house is absolutely beautiful. If you follow my Instagram feed, I mentioned who the designer is because I get asked that a lot. Access 3 out of the Temecula Valley. AXIS, number 3, architectural firm out of Temecula Valley. It's Steven, Jason, and Josh Sigler. Outstanding, phenomenal architect, right? We love building their structures. They do a great job. They're just, you know, they're like a step above, you know, when it comes to insight and design. They just know how to do it. This place, Spanish Estate, going to be incredible. Anyway, grade beam footing all ties together, okay? And you see the adobe blocks, okay? These little concrete adobe blocks. That one tipped over, but we'll put it back under the steel. Out here in California, we use these concrete adobe blocks because when we pour this concrete, you know, that's concrete. So those adobe blocks just become aggregate inside the concrete. Stephen Basic, architect. If you follow him on Instagram, if you don't, I recommend that you do. He's all part of building science. He's a really good architect from Boston. He came out and hung out with me, and he told me that they use these little steel chairs, kind of like what we use here on the freeway. We have steel chairs we use on the freeway, but yeah, here in residential and this commercial construction, we use these concrete adobe blocks. They have a wire hooked into them, and then you have to tie the wire around the rebar. But yeah, bond grade beam. They're also called bond beam footings. You might call them something else in your state, wherever you're at. And then what we do here, we set our hold downs, right? We have these massive hold downs going in here. Okay, these Simpson hold downs. I think these are CBSQ. Yeah, these are CBSQs, massive hold downs. These are 8x8s. All right, and what we will do is those need to be right on the money where they go and line up. So we will pour this concrete because those will get bumped. As soon as we pour this concrete, then we will run strings and we will set all those and verify our dimensions. You'll notice they're just laying on the ground around here, wherever. We haven't set them yet because they'll get bumped and moved. We dedicate someone to put those in. That way we know who's taking care of it, and we don't have a whole bunch of people taking care of it, because then you don't know if they got done or did get done. So yeah, that's it. Awesome day. Okay, I just got a warning that I only have 10% remaining in my camera battery, so I'm going to cut this video right here. I really appreciate all of you watching. Don't forget to follow along on our other projects. We have that massive modern estate going. We have this one. We have a whole bunch we're finishing up, and we have 8 or 9 more that are going to be starting very soon. I really appreciate you guys. Send over any questions or any comments. I hope you all have a great day. Don't forget to go over and follow us on Instagram at TCI Development, and hopefully you can learn something by watching our projects. That'll help you with your project. Have an outstanding day.